Patrons at a southeast Calgary casino were surprised to see police make several arrests this afternoon. Officers arrived in police cruisers, several of them at the Deerfoot Inn and Casino around 4 o'clock this afternoon. Witnesses tell CTV News several people in the casino were taken into custody. Police confirm they are in the middle of an investigation, but did not provide details on what activities they are looking into. Here's what else is making news tonight. The fugitive, the hunt, and the very big reward.
Ryan Wedding is extremely dangerous. He's extremely violent, and he's extremely wealthy.
The Calgary connection to this alleged drug kingpin's empire. Plus a long-awaited report into the failed privatization of Alberta Lab Services.
They went through this whole exercise, spent the money, and they didn't achieve what they wanted to.
Taxpayers get left on the hook for more than $100 million. And introducing young girls to a career in the trades.
I think we're doing like sheet medaling.
A hands-on event to spark interest and dispel myths.
There's a lot of stigma that trades are for the men and that girls can't do it. And I hope that they can see that that's not actually how it is.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Tara Nelson.
Hello and thank you for joining us. An extraordinary media briefing in Washington today. North American police agencies are on the hunt for Ryan Wedding, a one-time Canadian Olympic snowboarder, now on the FBI's most wanted list. He is described as dangerous, deadly, and responsible for a major narcotics trafficking and terror program. And 2 Alberta men have been arrested over their alleged connection to that drug empire. One is well known to Calgary police. Here's Tyson Fedor.
A bombshell in Washington Wednesday involving the RCMP, the FBI, and U.S. Department of Justice. Former Olympic snowboarder Ryan Wedding is on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list, and he is now being hunted down.
Ryan Wedding is a modern-day iteration of Pablo Escobar.
But on Tuesday, RCMP arrested 7 Canadians and continue to search for an 8th.
All of them are currently locked up, waiting the extradition process, so they'll have a fair process in front of a judge, and then our Department of Justice will communicate with the justice here.
Mounties tracked down a former junior hockey player and alleged Calgary drug kingpin, Alistair Chapman. The 33-year-old was arrested along with a 35-year-old man from Edmonton for their alleged connection to Wedding.
You do not get to be a drug kingpin and evade the law. This Justice Department and this FBI will work with our Canadian counterparts and the government officials across the world to bring him to justice.
Charges laid on Wednesday include drug trafficking, murder, and witness tampering, although it's unclear what Chapman is charged with. He had previously faced numerous charges here in Alberta in 2018, including conspiracy, trafficking, and possession of drugs. But they were all stayed due to long court delays.
I want to emphasize that our work is not done. Fugitive Ryan Wedding remains one of the top threats to Canadian public safety, and as per the previous indictment, continues to run an over $1 billion a year criminal enterprise.
Ryan Wedding is described by justice officials as extremely dangerous, violent, and wealthy. He has been linked to 4 murders in Ontario and goes by several aliases such as Giant and Public Enemy. The FBI believe he's being protected by the Sinaloa cartel and is living in Mexico.
Wedding is also accused of murdering a federal witness after he was indicted in 2024.
Tyson joins us now. Tyson, we're also just learning some of the things that Chapman is accused of.
Yeah, Tara, in the unsealed indictment, Chapman is accused of paying a Canadian gang news website about $10,000 to not post about Ryan Wedding, but rather a witness so they could be located. The witness that Chapman described as a snitch planned to testify against Wedding and was later killed. Chapman is also named in several drug conspiracy and murder charges, along with working in a criminal enterprise. However, none of these allegations have been tested in court. He's due back in court on Friday here in Calgary. His lawyer declined comment to CTV News today, and anyone with information that leads to the arrest of Wedding will receive a $15 million U.S. reward. Tara?
Okay, Tyson, thank you. A fourth youth has now been arrested in connection to the death of Carter Spivak Villeneuve. The 16-year-old boy was arrested yesterday and has been charged with first-degree murder. Carter was found dead in Abbeydale in August. Homicide detectives allege that a group of teens was involved in some sort of dispute with Carter and had arranged to meet him that night. Earlier this month, 3 15-year-olds were also charged with first-degree murder. A pedestrian has died after being struck by a vehicle on Pagan Trail this morning. The road was closed for several hours from 84th Street to 100th Street southeast. There have now been 33 fatal collisions in our city in 2025, the most in the past 10 years. A pedestrian was struck by a pickup truck later this morning at a Southwest Calgary intersection. It happened at 51st Street and 35th Avenue just after 10 a.m. Firefighters and paramedics helped the victim on the pavement before loading the woman in her 20s into an ambulance for transport to hospital. EMS says she is in non-life-threatening condition. The police investigation continues. A jackknife semi shut down Highway 791 for several hours today. It happened around 1 o'clock this afternoon between Range Roads 290 and 285 northeast of Airdrie. RCMP say 3 other vehicles swerved into the ditch to avoid the semi, but no one was hurt. It took roughly 5 hours to clear the scene, which has now reopened to traffic. The union representing 16,000 Alberta hospital workers says its members are set to hit picket lines on Saturday. That includes licensed practical nurses and healthcare aides. Strike notice was given to Alberta Health Services this morning after bargaining fell apart over wages. The union says about 78% of its members are essential workers, meaning not all would legally be permitted to strike, so they would rotate shifts on the picket line.
No one chooses this lightly, but we reached the point where we had no choice. We went into bargaining hoping, truly hoping, that we could achieve a fair agreement at the table.
The union says some elective surgeries have already been canceled due to the impending job action, and more may be canceled if a strike drags on. Finance Minister Nate Horner says a fair and reasonable deal was offered, and he is disappointed over the strike notice. Alberta's Auditor General says the province's privatization of community lab services featured years of poor procurement practices, leaving taxpayers on the hook for more than $100 million. It has also left patients dealing with major delays and lab work errors. That's according to a new report outlining the collapse of the province's private contract with Dynalife. Mark Villani has the details.
Patients are piling into this Calgary medical lab, and to some surprise, their appointments were on time.
It's gotten better, in my opinion. It was supposed to be like a 20-minute, half-hour wait. I waited for like 4 minutes.
And it looks busy there, but it's quick.
But there was a time when it wasn't.
It was super slow. For a urine and blood test, I could be in there for 3 hours sometimes.
A new report from Alberta's Auditor General says those delays stem from the signing of a 15-year, $4.8 billion contract for Dynalife to take over lab services in the province.
They went through this whole exercise, spent the money, and they didn't achieve what they wanted to.
Dynalife was contracted out for lab services in Edmonton and northern Alberta for years prior, but it took over for all of Alberta in December 2022. Just 2 weeks before that deal went into effect, the company went insolvent. 8 months later, the deal was terminated. That led to the province purchasing Dynalife, the centerpiece in taxpayer losses of $125 million over a 10-year period for government-initiated lab procurements.
Neither the department or Alberta Health Services followed their own procurement practices.
Wiley's report also notes that basic financial checks weren't done.
There was limited records of that were kept of important decisions that were made and discussions between Alberta Health Services Executive and the Department of Health.
Alberta's health minister clapped back, saying her department took immediate action. That's why in June 2023, we directed that the agreement with Dynalife be terminated and shifted services to Alberta Precision Labs, which has resulted in significant improvements to wait times across the province.
These folks are paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And these aren't nurses and surgeons and doctors. These are managers. Why didn't they manage this better?
Danielle Smith and the UCP wanted to move forward full speed ahead on privatization. They didn't do their research. They didn't have good records at the meetings that they had, and the buck stops with them.
Wiley now recommends better procurement practices and clear record keeping.
And ensuring that the money is being spent wisely.
Mark joins us from a medical lab in Southwest Calgary tonight. Mark, the Auditor General also expressed issue with a lack of transparency from top health officials.
Yes, that's right, Tara. Wiley says that Alberta Health Services restricted access to information because some of the documents that they requested were withheld. In other cases, tens of thousands of documents had redacted lines on them with no information as to why. Now, we did reach out to Alberta Health Services on this. They acknowledged our request for comment, but they did not respond in time for broadcast. Meanwhile, the province says it did fully cooperate with the Auditor General's investigation, telling us that any suggestion to the contrary would be incorrect. Tara.
Okay, Mark, thank you. An Alberta rancher and musician filed a new application for a Citizens Initiative petition today. Corb Lund says he's been fighting for 5 years to stop coal mining on the eastern slopes of the Rockies.
I'm not partisan. I don't have any affiliation or affection for any of the parties. This has nothing to do with anything at all political except for not ruining the water in the mountains for all Albertans. And I also have been clear about saying I'm not anti-resource. I understand we need resources, but it doesn't mean that every project is a good idea. And these coal mines in the headwaters of rivers are a terrible idea.
The Grassy Mountain Coal Exploration Project was initially rejected in 2021 over environmental concerns. Alberta's energy regulator approved the exploration earlier this year. The AER says the project near the Crow's Nest Pass is in the public interest. Lund's petition still has to be approved by Elections Alberta.
You're watching CTV News, Calgary.
Get our first peek at the evening forecast. Most of that ice probably from the morning should be gone by now, right?
Yep, because we did get up to 6 degrees today. However, some spots that don't get a lot of sunshine, still a couple icy patches out there. So, you know, be careful. 2 degrees is the temperature at the moment. Again, we did get to 6 today, which is well above normal. Normal is about +1 for this time of year. So we're going to be similar with regards to temperature for tomorrow. Conditions fairly quiet, other than there may be some fog patches in the morning hours and a wind chill of -8 when off to work and school. Your full forecast just ahead, Tara.
Thank you, Danielle. The Premier is detailing plans to allow Alberta doctors to work publicly and privately. The dual practice surgery model and why some doctors say this is not what's best for patients. And a Southern Alberta radio host goes public with a devastating diagnosis. What he says is even scarier is the delay he's facing for an assessment. That story is just ahead. If you have a news tip, you can text us anytime at 10400. More details tonight about sweeping new legislation that will eventually change healthcare delivery as we know it. Alberta's government will soon allow some health professionals to work in both the public and private systems simultaneously. It's an effort to cut down wait times, but critics believe it could flip the entire system on its head. Tim Burke explains.
In a social media video, the province is shedding some light on its new healthcare plans.
We're calling it the dual practice surgery model, and here's how it will work.
Surgeons will soon be allowed to offer elective procedures paid for by patients or their insurance after they commit to a minimum number of publicly funded surgeries per year.
A surgeon could choose to perform publicly funded surgeries during regular business hours, while performing private surgeries after regular business hours or on weekends.
The plan is aimed at cutting high surgery wait times, a stat that currently leaves many far beyond safe thresholds.
This is another avenue where medical professionals and Albertans can connect and perhaps do additional surgeries that are currently done out of province.
But it won't just be surgery. Alberta's Minister of Hospital and Surgical Health Services says there are plans to broaden out the model to allow other health professionals a chance to mix public and private care. He wouldn't say what healthcare providers will be impacted.
They did not campaign on this. They do not have a mandate. Call an election.
That's right.
Some health professionals already work outside of the public stream, but the things they do, cosmetic surgeries, for example, are not covered by public insurance. Experts are convinced these changes will only further incentivize private practice.
If we look at the evidence of other jurisdictions, the public system has suffered where the private system has been able to flourish. And to the extent that it hasn't, it's been because of extensive government regulations to try to manage that.
And the market will no doubt also dictate higher private costs for those who can afford to skip the public line.
It will create
a grossly inequitable healthcare situation, and we're all very, very worried about it.
The legislation will be introduced this session. Tim Brooke, CTV News, Calgary.
The health ministry wouldn't tell CTV News the minimum number of publicly funded procedures that surgeons must do every year. It would only say specifics will come when the bill is tabled. The head of the Alberta Teachers Association is condemning the government's repeated use of the notwithstanding clause, saying it endangers the rights and freedoms of all Albertans. The comments come a day after the government introduced a bill in the House that, if passed, invokes the clause and protects a trio of laws affecting transgender youth and adults from court challenges. It would mean the UCP has used the clause twice in recent weeks to override charter rights. 3 weeks ago, 51,000 teachers on strike were forced back to work. The Premier defended its use then, saying kids had been out of school for weeks and it was too much of a social, emotional and educational hardship for them to bear.
Our rights must be protected, not circumvented. That is why Alberta's teachers will stand with parents, students, and all Albertans in defending the principles that keep our democracy strong.
The ATA filed a legal challenge against the government's back-to-work order, arguing the use of the notwithstanding clause was improper and invalid. A hearing is scheduled for tomorrow.
This is CTV News, Calgary.
Let's bring Danielle back in now and look ahead to our 5-day forecast.
Yes, and I would say the 3-day forecast looks very mild. After that, we are in for a longer-term cooling trend, and this one will be cooler than what we've had so far this fall. So we've been easing into winter, but it's going to feel a lot more like winter next week. Okay, I'll show you that in the long range in just a moment, but 2 degrees is where we're sitting in the city right now. At this time yesterday, we were at the freezing mark, so it's slightly warmer today, but as you can see, most communities starting to dip below freezing for the night. -4 is the temp in Brooks, -3 in Drumheller, and -2 in Lethbridge at the moment. Today, we did have fairly gusty conditions, somewhat anyway, around that 40 mark for Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, and Brooks. It should quiet down with regards to the winds further off to the east for tomorrow, but it will pick up a little bit in Pincher Creek and Crow's Nest Pass, up to about 60, 70 even kilometers per hour. A little bit in Lethbridge as well. This will be wind out of the west, so we're getting into more of a Chinook setup, especially for the far south for tomorrow. And Lethbridge, for example, will get into the double digits, and we'll get a little warmer over these next couple of days here in Calgary. We're in between 2 systems. This one is the one that delivered the snow yesterday, and that's on its way out. And then there's the next one in BC. The mountains are going to eat up all that moisture for the most part anyway with the system, but we will get cloudy periods at times in southern Alberta, and the winds are going to pick up, especially in the far south, and it may get a little windy at times over these next few days in Calgary as well. I'm going to only freeze this futurecast in one spot because other than that, there's not a whole lot to talk about for the next 48 hours. And if you are heading up the QE2, basically north of Red Deer, Friday morning is where we're looking at a decent chance of getting some freezing rain, so icy patches certainly possible. Friday morning up that QE2. Outside of that, just some cloudy periods and a little windy at times. That's going to keep our temperatures above normal. So 1 degree was normal in the city for this time of year. 5 degrees is our high for tomorrow. Keep in mind, it's a cool start to the day with a wind chill of -8. Went off to work and school, and likely some fog patches out there as well in the morning. 9 degrees by Friday, and then down to 6 for Saturday, which is what we had today. Sunday, a warm front is going to push through. That's going to knock our temperature up to at least 7. But then Sunday night and through Monday is when we have the next system roll in. And that next system will bring in a much cooler air mass that will keep our daytime high below the freezing mark for pretty much all of next week. That's your Action Furnace full forecast. All right, midnight Friday is the absolute final deadline in the Hospital Home Lottery. This is your chance to win $3.3 million grand prize show home plus $100,000. Buy before midnight Friday at CalgaryHospitalHomeLottery.com.
A Medicine Hat radio host says a growth on his brain is stealing his voice, and he can't get a neurosurgery appointment for months. Now he is taking his story public, hoping someone in government will step in. Kevin Green reports.
And you are up. I need your 4-digit combination.
This is Kim Johnston, a well-known Medicine Hat DJ, in a video recorded when he was still hosting his daily show, and his voice was his livelihood.
Well, hang on, one by one. This is what it looks like when I try to talk. just kind of clenches.
And this, from a Facebook post he shared this week, is him now.
And it's really difficult to...
His speech has collapsed, his muscles spasm, and he says he's lost the ability to do the job he loves.
Over the past number of months, I've had just speech problems, and it was just really difficult to put my finger on what exactly has been happening.
After months of decline, an MRI in October found an arachnoid cyst resting on his trigeminal motor nerve, the nerve that controls jaw movement and speech. Kim says his symptoms are worsening every week, and he hasn't been able to eat solid food for months. He was told his first neurological assessment isn't until January, nearly 4 months after the cyst was found.
It's terrifying, absolutely terrifying. The longer this condition is allowed to go unchecked, the greater risk of permanent damage. And I feel that it is very possible that that damage may be well underway.
With no answers, Kim has now taken his fight public, using social media to pressure provincial officials to act.
It just doesn't stop.
He says he's not trying to score political points, he's trying to survive, and he's pleading for help for rural Albertans who can't afford to wait months for specialized care.
I'm not about placing the blame on any political thing. I don't care about the bureaucracy, but rural Albertans who are suffering from perhaps lesser-known ailments need help because we're not getting it.
Kevin Green, CTV News, Calgary.
CTV reached out to Alberta Health and Alberta Urgent Care, but so far have not received a response. Still to come, an optimistic outlook for Calgary's economy. The forecast is for steady growth, even with uncertainty around the world. And later, these Alberta students are getting green thumbs, learning how to run a sustainable business. That's still to come. Prime Minister Mark Carney is in the United Arab Emirates on the first leg of his latest overseas trip. The PM is meeting with top government officials and is hoping to sign an investment agreement with the UAE before he leaves to attend the G20 summit in South Africa. The Liberals say they're working to improve Canada's economic autonomy by strengthening trade ties beyond the United States. Meantime, CTV News has learned that Ottawa and Alberta are close to a deal on a new pipeline to the BC coast. Two sources in the federal government confirm an agreement is days away from being announced. Negotiations are now underway surrounding the industrial carbon price and an exemption to the current tanker ban. The economic outlook for 2026 is bright. That's according to Calgary Economic Development. And it's despite two major issues, high unemployment and rapid population growth. As Stephanie Thomas reports, leaders say Calgary's economy needs diversity and the resource sector needs to grow, especially to weather uncertainty from south of the border.
Make sense of what's actually happening around the economy.
Calgary has become accustomed to the boom and bust cycle, but the outlook for 2026 lacks a sharp swing either way. The city will see growth at a slower rate. That's according to the president and CEO of the Calgary Economic Development.
If you look at last year, I think last year we were growing at a much higher pace. We were closer to 4% growth. So it's leveling out, but it's still one of the highest growth opportunities in the country. So we're still going to be the fastest growing market.
The CED says Calgary's economy will expand by 2.4% next year, higher than the projected national rate of 1.3% real GDP growth. While past forecasts have called for diversifying the economy, leaders say energy needs support just as much.
We've always been the energy capital of this country. We always will be.
Experts say Calgary's outlook is also dependent on population growth, but the jobless rate demonstrates that labor isn't keeping pace. Calgary's unemployment is expected to remain at near 7%, slightly higher than the projection for the rest of the country.
Alberta's not in a recession. This is simply a matter of keeping up with the population.
Parsons says people from larger centres continue to move to Calgary, looking for a better deal on housing.
I'm in the tech sector, so I thought when I came first to Canada, I thought Toronto was better off. But Calgary seems better to us.
Calgary's new mayor says council is focused on supporting the growing workforce.
It's going to require intentional, mindful investment around the services and infrastructure to support that.
And a lot of that will be deliberated over the upcoming budget. Stephanie Thomas, CTV News, Calgary.
Calgary's population is rapidly approaching 2 million people, with 100,000 new residents last year alone. Well, it's hard to make a career choice when you're still in junior high, but SAIT is hoping they can convince a few more girls to consider the trades. We'll take you to a hands-on workshop today. A long-awaited demolition project is finally underway at the former Ogden Legion. The center used to be a popular gathering place for the community, but has been empty for more than a decade and was the site of a fire last month. In 2023, the city issued a demolition order. There is no indication yet from the owner what development may occur there. And demolition is also underway at another landmark. The building that used to once house Julio's Barrio on Memorial Drive in 10th Street Northwest is coming down to make way for a luxury condo development. The popular Mexican restaurant closed in 2019. About 120 young students from the Calgary area traded pencils for tools today at an event aimed at giving girls a chance to explore careers in the trades. As Alicia Fieldberg reports, they are a vastly untapped workforce for many in-demand jobs.
Using saws and paint guns, these junior high girls are getting a feel for jobs in the trades.
Just a bunch of these fun skills and seeing if I want to do something like this when I'm older. I really like the smell of wood. My dad's a carpenter, and I just think it's really interesting.
These are just some of the industries they're sampling at an event created to expose options and reduce stigma.
Just because they're girls doesn't mean that they can't do a trade.
Only about 7% of skilled trades workers are women, according to Statistics Canada. Giving girls a chance to try them at a young age could change that, which could also help fill employment gaps.
The numbers coming out around youth unemployment right now even are not terrific, and same thing we're hearing, there's not enough skilled people coming into the trades. And so we hope by sparking that interest early for some of these girls, they get a head start potentially on deciding what they might want to do.
Students can even sign up to take apprenticeship courses at SAIT while they're still in high school.
Part of high school dual credit program. So once they get to high school, they actually can come to SAIT and participate in the entire first period in a number of skilled trades.
More females are enrolling in trades here, but they still only make up about 6% of SAIT's apprentice students.
So when I first started, there wasn't that much. It was like 1, maybe 2 for a while, and then now it's kind of going up a lot more.
Female mentors, hands-on experience, and trailblazing opportunities may open the door for others.
Maybe. I really like working with my hands rather than just sitting in a desk. I think it's empowering.
Alicia Fieldberg, CTV News, Calgary.
SAIT also offers a free online course for all Alberta junior high students to explore skilled trades. That's so cool. Mm-hmm. I took shop in junior high. I did not take home ec. Do not come to me for your cooking needs.
But you can build something, right?
Yeah, I can hook up a light for you.
Right.
Nice. Well, parents say they don't have favorites, but sometimes it's obvious. Like mother, like daughter. The little boy is not even sure he's in the right family. His mom and his sister are rocking out. He seems a little uncertain about the whole situation.
Yeah, not enjoying it as much as you two are.
I love the perfect pan over.
I know.
And he's
like,
looking at them like they're crazy.
Here? I don't know. Well, there's nothing like turkey dinner leftovers. We all have to admit that. And you might already be looking forward to it at Christmas. You need gravy, though. So, Heinz leftover gravy is the first ever squeezable bottle of home-style turkey gravy. What do you think?
Is it like mixed with something? Like a mayonnaise leftover?
I'm guessing.
I'd rather make my own gravy, okay?
Yeah?
Okay,
yeah.
I'd rather do that.
Well, this is going to save your day after sandwich, I guess.
Well, we'll have to see how it would taste.
I don't know either.
Here's the thing, though. A lot of times the gravy's so good it's gone the next day, and then you just have your dry turkey.
I agree. Mm-hmm. You need gravy, so you have to do like Glenn and make fresh gravy again.
I'd try the one in the bottle for sure.
You try
Would
it.
you now?
You try it. Well, the big man himself was on hand as Denmark's Tivoli Gardens opened for the Christmas season.
Merry Christmas! Tivoli Christmas! Christmas in Tivoli! Welcome to all of you!
Wait till you see this event. This is in Copenhagen. It's been going on for 182 years.
Whoa.
They use more than 1 million twinkling lights, 1,000 Christmas trees, 160,000 sparkling baubles. The gardens also just hosted a Halloween event, so they've actually turned over this whole display into a Christmas display in about 2 weeks.
Now that's getting into the Christmas.
That's beautiful.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Looks
That's
terrific.
teamwork.
Yeah. The world's biggest company just got more valuable. NVIDIA stock soared on higher earnings expectations. The details are ahead in our business report.
Your Skywatch weather camera on what was, well, I guess a slightly warmer day than yesterday and less snowy today. Still a couple random ice patches out there, so be careful because you may run into that in the morning hours, especially because we're dipping below freezing tonight. We'll feel more like -8 with the wind chill tomorrow. All right, today we got to 6. We're currently sitting at 2 in the city, and normal is 1. So we were above normal today. And we don't have, it's an interesting graphic with nothing on it. Let's advance. There we go. Okay, we have wind chill already starting to make its way into some communities. So Clare's home, in the blue here, these are the wind chill values. It feels more like -4. Red Deer feels more like -10 right now. And Drumheller -8. Lethbridge -7. And in Calgary, because we're above freezing, we don't have wind chill to deal with yet. We have no values to assign to that. Okay, radar and satellite. This is the system that brought us the snow that is now out of the way. This is the next system on the way, and the mountains are going to keep the moisture off, mainly to the BC side. We'll get some move their way in the high elevations of the mountains on the weekend. But really, for southern Alberta, we're looking some cloud cover here and there, and the winds will pick up here and there, and temperatures will be mild for the next couple of days. Your 24-hour forecast brought to you by Action Furnace. Fixed right or it's free. And again, tomorrow morning when off to work and school, -8 is what it will feel like with the wind chill. Likely some fog patches out there in some spots as well. And then tomorrow afternoon, a high of 5, which is similar to what we had today with mainly sunny skies. A little dance around here, 5 degrees in Fernie tomorrow. Kamloops getting to 8, quiet there. Quiet in much of Alberta as well for tomorrow. Just some cloud cover in Edmonton, down the QE2 and through Olds and Coronation. Drumheller looking at a high of 3 for tomorrow, 10 in Lethbridge, 8 for Medicine Hat. All right, Midnight Friday is the absolute final deadline in the Hospital Home Lottery. This is your last chance to win the $3.3 million grand prize show home, plus $100,000. Buy before midnight Friday at CalgaryHospitalHomeLottery.com.
A Calgary man is under arrest as part of an FBI-led investigation into a fellow Canadian accused of being a drug kingpin. Former Olympic snowboarder Ryan Wedding is believed to be hiding in Mexico. 33-year-old Alistair Chapman is in custody in Calgary, awaiting possible extradition to the U.S. Alberta's Auditor General says the failed privatization of Alberta's lab services cost taxpayers more than $100 million. Doug Wiley says there were major gaps in financial management and procurement when Dynalife took over. And casino patrons were shocked to see police arrest several people at the Deerfoot Inn this afternoon. Police are not providing details on their investigation just yet. Students at a Diamond Valley High School are trying their hand at vertical farming while earning credits. The program has really caught on with the kids, but also the community, as businesses are now buying the produce. Tyler Barrow has the details.
Class is in session at Oilfields High School. This is the Vertical Farm Initiative program.
I just like working with my hands, and it's student-led leadership. I think it helps a lot with everything.
I enjoy the hands-on experience.
The course allows students in grades 7 to 12 to learn about sustainable agriculture and environmental stewardship. The vertical farm, which can grow produce year-round, has students making vegetables, including microgreens, along with herbs.
The students enjoy coming to school, knowing that they have a purpose.
The vertical farm is built in a sea can that is fully sustainable. Funding came through sponsorships, grants, and community support. Students are part of every phase of production. Jake Bradley helps keep the farm operating.
Fix leaks, I'll help with lights, something's not running, I'll see if a circuit's overloaded.
And when the produce is ready, it needs to be sold. And that's where Jada Brown comes in, who works to market and sell it, meeting with clients.
We're learning stuff that you can't get out of a textbook.
So far, the Vertical Farms products are being sold to 7 different area businesses. Amadeo's Italian Bistro and Okotoks buy several of the Vertical Farms produce, including pea shoots for pasta and basil for caprese salad.
It's been amazing. I wouldn't go back to any other herb program ever.
Revenue made goes back into helping sustain the vertical farm. Tyler Barrow, CTV News, Diamond Valley.
Very cool. And in the summer months, the farm also opens up employment opportunities for post-secondary students looking to learn more about controlled environment agriculture. NVIDIA is the biggest of the big tech companies, so when it reports earnings, investors pay close attention. Here's BNN Bloomberg's Marla Fernandez.
NVIDIA reported results for its third quarter, reporting revenue of $57 billion US, easily beating expectations. That's a 62% increase from revenue in the same period last year. The solid report expected to revive confidence in technology stocks, which have been dragged down by nervous investors. They worry about how the billions of dollars being spent on AI infrastructure will turn into revenue. NVIDIA's report pushed its share price up in after-hours trading. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 71.13. West Texas Intermediate crude is down $1.42 to 59.25. Western Canadian Select is up to 48.05. And the TSX gained 241 points today, ending the day at 30,278. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
The former independent candidate who challenged Pierre Poilievre in the Battle River Crowfoot riding is pivoting to provincial politics.
I fully intend on standing up for Albertans' rights. So watch me go.
In a post on Facebook, Bonnie Critchley says she's joining the as yet unnamed former Alberta Party alongside independent MLAs Peter Guthrie and Scott Sinclair. The province is suing the 2 former caucus members over their party's name. Critchley came in second to Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre in last summer's by-election, winning 5,000 votes to Poilievre's 40,000. A portrait with a complex history has become the most expensive work of modern art ever sold at auction.
Elizabeth laid her portrait only at Sotheby's here in the Broyer. The Klimt, Julian, is yours. Congratulations. Congratulations.
The buyer remained anonymous, but this 6-foot-tall portrait by Austrian artist Gustav Klimt sold for more than $235 million at Sotheby's in New York. The piece was completed in 1916, but was looted by the Nazis in the Second World War and remained hidden from public view for decades. A volcano in Indonesia erupted today, throwing ash and gas 13 kilometers into the sky. Mount Semeru is about 300 kilometers west of tourist hotspot Bali. Authorities are warning people to stay at least 8 kilometers away from the summit. 300 villagers living near the volcano have been evacuated to temporary shelters, but no injuries are reported. An eruption by Semeru in 2021 killed more than 50 people and damaged more than 5,000 homes. The top speed skaters in the world will be on the ice in Calgary this weekend. They are here for a World Cup event and to try to make it to the Winter Olympics. Glenn has that for us next. Comedian Dave Chappelle is coming to Calgary next month. He'll perform at the Saddle Dome December 2nd. The Emmy and Grammy Award winner will also perform in Edmonton and Vancouver. Tickets are now on sale. The Calgary Flames opened up their road trip on a losing note last night. Glenn is back with us. Glenn, they didn't look very good against Chicago.
Tara, hard to believe a team so desperate for wins would come out so flat. Now, the good news for the Flames, they get to put that one in the rearview mirror because they're in Buffalo to play the Sabres tonight. Newly acquired John Beecher making his Flames debut. He's number 18 in your program. And Devin Cooley getting the start and goal for the Flames tonight. And the Flames get him some support. They open up the scoring in this one. Kevin Ball with a shot from the point. Colton Ellis makes the save. Rebound right there for Rasmus Anderson, the stare down. Second goal as many games. Flames up 1-0. Flames would go up by a pair a little later in the second. Yegor Sharangovich to Nazem Kadri behind the net. He takes it and will pass for Joel Farabee. He taps it past Ellis. Great start for the Flames, 2-0. Now, it did look like the Sabres had made it a 2-1 game right here. Flames get sloppy in their own zone. Puck goes to Rasmus Dahlin. He scores, but the Flames challenge for goaltender interference, and they get this one right this time. No goal. Flames led 2-0 after one period. They're now in the second period of play. Still 2-0 for the Flames. And it's being reported by Eric Francis today that the Flames will loan Zane Parekh to Team Canada for the World Juniors. Well, it is looking more and more like the Flames will get a top prospect in this year's NHL draft, so it's a perfect reason to head down to the Scotiabank Saddledome next week for the CHL USA Prospects Challenge. The game will be played on Tuesday, and it pits the best from the Canadian Hockey League against the best from the United States. The game will feature all the top prospects and will be played in front of hundreds of NHL scouts as they evaluate their draft stock ahead of the 2026 NHL draft. And the two teams will also play a game in Lethbridge on Wednesday night. Well, the best speed skaters in the world are in Calgary this week for the second ISU World Cup of the season. It's a big year for all of them as they try to qualify for the Winter Olympics in Italy. The who's who of the speed skating world will take to the ice this weekend at the Olympic Oval in search of gold and furthering their chances of securing a spot in the Olympics. This will be Canadian star Ivany Blondin's last season, and she says she wants to cherish things like skating in her home country.
I mean, it's great. The past 2 years, I think we had events here. We had World Championships, World Cup last year, and the crowd was incredible. I don't think we've seen a crowd like that since the Olympics, so it's really exciting for us to finally get a home crowd and skate at home on an ice that we're very familiar with.
22-year-old Laura Hall and her 20-year-old brother Daniel are trying to make it to the Olympics for the first time, and they'd love to go there together.
It'd be really cool. Both of us wanted to do it pretty much since we were really little. We've kind of grown up skating together.
That'd be special. It'd be nice to have someone that you know is in your corner the whole time. So yeah, it'd be special to be there with my sister and my family.
Speed skating runs in the Hall family. Their father, Michael, competed in the 1994 games in Lillehammer, Norway.
I think it was just really important to have a good role model in my dad. So that was probably the biggest difference that made.
Skating's kind of been a bit of a family thing growing up, and it has definitely brought us close.
The World Cup gets underway on Friday, wraps up on Sunday at the Olympic Oval. Basketball superstar LeBron James has broken a new record for the first game of the 2025 NBA season. Last night, James became the first NBA athlete to compete in 23 consecutive seasons as he took to the court in LA to face the Utah Jazz. The record was previously held by Canada's own Vince Carter, who played in 22 consecutive seasons. In the record-breaking game, James contributed 11 points, 12 assists, helping the LA Lakers secure the home win.
Still got it after all those seasons.
Yeah, you're still very good.
No
you bet.
kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Glenn. Yeah. Okay, final peek of the weather, Danielle.
We still got it for another 3 days, if you're talking warm weather. And then after that, well, hey, it's winter time. Okay, so this is the longer range forecast for the next, well, even 4 days, let's say, right up through Sunday. For the rest of this week, temperatures will be mild. It will be a little windy at times, but Sunday night a system arrives, and that system will not only deliver snowfall Sunday night through Monday, but all of next week, aside from Monday, our daytime highs will be below freezing. Okay, yes, I said that out loud. Now, this weather window brought to you by Lux Windows and Doors, crafting quality windows and doors for your style, budget, and Alberta's climate. I have to say, Wayne Burnt sent this picture in, and I had to stretch it a bit to fit the screen. So I'm sorry, Wayne, but it still looks absolutely fantastic, taken in Carburn Park today.
Beautiful light. Thanks for your company tonight. Have a terrific evening, and we'll see you again tomorrow.